Haiti's Transitional Council has selected their pick for the country's next president and prime minister today as it works to bring stability to the nation. The Transition Council took power on Thursday, formalizing former Prime Minister Ariel Henry's resignation. The group will elect a new government and ultimately guide the way to a general election by 2026. The council is facing mountain pressure to produce fast results in a country that, of course, has been plagued by tragic gang violence, poverty, food insecurity, and more. For more on this, let's bring in Garry Pierre-Pierre. He's the founder and publisher of the Haitian Times. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Pierre-Pierre. What can you tell us about the new president and prime minister?
Well, thanks for having me, Lilia. The new president, Edgar Leblanc Fils, is a former Senate president, and the new prime minister, his name is Fritz Belizaire, is a former sports minister. So now, as you mentioned in your intro, their task is to create a government and create a electoral college and to get the elections going.
I can't imagine that, given the way things have panned out in Haiti since the assassination of the last president, there must be so many challenges. What would you say are the top ones that this council and the eventual government will have to face?
Well, the top one is really to neutralize the gangs and get things back to normalcy. Because right now, the daily lives in Haiti, it's just terrible. People can't go out safely. Schools are not open. Some of the schools open via Zoom classes. And so the country is at a standstill, and there's a lot of work ahead of them. The challenge is enormous. They're talking about, the international community is talking about sending in Kenyan-led troops to help the Haitian police deal with the gangs, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding that in Kenya and other countries in the Americas who have pledged to send soldiers and police officers.
I mean, there certainly are concerns on that end, but with so much volatility and with the council just having until February 2026 to hold elections, I mean, that's a long way. What are some of the precautions that are being taken to ensure that this process goes on and that we don't see yet another coup?
Well, again, everyone is betting on the foreign intervention, people in Haiti, that is, to pacify the gangs and create the climate for elections. But meanwhile, there's been some resources given to the police. They have new materials, new ammunition, new tanks, and other things that they need to fight the gangs. And they've gotten an increase in salary. They have better benefits. And there's also the Haitian mysterious army that's lurking in the background, which, for your readers' background, the Haitian army was disbanded back in 1995. Jovenel Moise, prior to his assassination, sort of like restored the army. And so now, just yesterday, it was reported that there were some resources given to that army to help stabilize the country.
You were just mentioning complications having to do with international involvement on the ground in places like Kenya or even in the United States. What are those concerns?
Well, there's a long history of bad ending for Haitians when international community, the U.S. or the UN, come in. For instance, the UN just left about a few years ago. They left cholera, an epidemic which killed thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. There were a lot of allegations of rape and sexual abuse. And the country was not better off for it. So there are some people who are skeptical about bringing in another foreign intervention. To what end? Does it just like stabilize the country just for a little bit long enough to organize elections and we claim that Haiti is once again a democracy? Or is this something that really stabilize and help develop Haiti so that we're not coming back to talk about the problems that were created by the international community? There's a certain level of repetition with these things, and some people are leery about that.
Well, coming from a Caribbean island that is according to a lot of people, still kind of a de facto colony of the U.S. I understand the concerns and the skepticism, but some support, I'm certain, is sure needed. Garry Pierre-Pierre, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lilia.